One of Equa Television's purpose of being alive is to fulfill the Equa Executive's 4-point agenda of connecting Equa to God, Equa to Equa, Equa to the world, and mobilizing resources for the advancement of the gospel through evangelism, missions, and the kingdom's work, generally through Equa. Equa Television International is live 24/7, preaching the gospel of salvation and truth to the world. Pray for Equa TV, support Equa TV, be part of Equa TV. Keep watching Equa Television International, the winning station. How then?
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the Dailies on Equa Television International, where we keep you up to date with what is happening from our Nigerian newspaper. A lot of stories, especially regarding the interim government, where the DSS have said they have actually gotten, some people who are actually working to actually sabotage the May 29 handing over. These and many other stories is what we will be seeing on the papers this morning. I am Stella Elisha Dashoman. I have Rachel Tanze with me in the studio. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, Stella.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. We're live on Facebook and also on YouTube, so you can do well. Drop your comment or your contribution on any story that is of interest to you. And then later on the show, as usual, we'll open the phone line so you can, drop your comment or your contribution on any story that's of interest to you. And let's start with the newspaper review. I'll be starting with the Voice of Liberty. Buhari appoints 6 new federal permanent secretaries. U.S. hikes student, tourist, and visa fee by 15%. And we have federal government approved 24.2 billion naira for free internet at airports and universities. You can read all of that story inside the paper. The big story on the Voice of Liberty: DSS identify key politicians plotting to set up interim government. According to the Directorate of the State Service, DSS, misguided political actors are actually plotting to overthrow the constitution and install an interim government. And Richard, before we move further, this been a story that's been on our papers. If you don't know directly, but then it was on the paper yesterday, and then it's on the paper today. And even before the election, we saw where the President Muhammadu Buhari, set up a committee, regarding, it's as if he actually foresaw that something of this nature was actually going to come up. And that was when we have a committee where he set up on transition. And also we've even seen the President-elect also setting up a committee on that. And, there have been agitations, especially regarding the presidential election, where we have Nigerians that feel that the election was being rigged. They feel that that wasn't the mandate of Nigeria. We even saw where we had this Free Nigerians movement that went to the streets to actually express their displeasure. We also saw where civil societies were at the, I think they were also at the headquarters, where INEC was actually collating the result during the, handing over the certificate of return to the president and also his vice, and where they're expressing displeasure with what INEC did. And we can see that DSS from yesterday actually tipped the fact that they have the names of, even though they didn't give the names, but they said some political, actors that are actually going to sabotage the, definitely the handing over May 29. And when you look at this whole thing of interim government, from the name, it's actually not bad. But then it looks at what is the motive of the people trying to set up this interim government. I think I came across a video also where we saw some people saying that we should have an interim government, because yesterday we saw in the paper where the federal government said that even though there are still cases in the court, but that will not stop the handing over come May 29. And we can see that there are already speculations left, right, and center that there might be an interim government. But then with all of this, Rachel, I do not know, what do you feel about this interim government? We know that it's already a threat to the present administration, because it seems that some people really want to, go about causing trouble and confusion. But then looking at it, would it be right to say that another fresh election should be conducted? Will it be right to say that we will have an interim government? Because we saw that in 1993, where we had Ernest Shoinka, where IBB, set him there, just for about 3 months, 3 months before other things were done. I think he was the shortest, head of state for just 3 months. But then that wasn't really a way of causing confusion, even though they have their own agenda when that was being said. But then looking at the way things are going right now, would it be right to say we should have an interim government? Because it's already a threat, Rachel.
Yeah. I honestly don't think we need an interim government. What Nigerians need is that if we have cases at the court challenging the electoral results, that is the current president-elect, and we have cases that, okay, the APC didn't win, the PDP are out there, Labour parties are out there. I think what Nigerians need is that let these cases go to court as they should be, and whatever challenge that it needed to be done, let the judiciary deliver that kind of thing for us. Because now having an interim government is just going to prolong everything in the country. I believe Nigeria is moving, and we don't need anything to stop us from moving forward. We're the position where we need the next administration coming in and going on, doing the right thing, executing the budget. There are just so many things that need to be done that I feel we shouldn't have anything slowing us down as a country. Yes, a lot of people wouldn't mind going out to vote again if there should be re-election, if there should be another election. A lot of people wouldn't mind going out to vote again, because we have a lot of people saying that the people didn't get their mandate. There was a lot of rigging. INEC didn't perform as expected. They didn't execute what they said they will. So I believe that a lot of people will want that option, and a lot of people again will want an interim government. However, what do Nigeria need? Do we really need this? That is the question. It's not about what some individuals want. I keep saying we need to start thinking Nigeria. We need to start thinking, what does the country need? It doesn't matter whether it will go well. It can't go well with everybody. It can't go well with everybody. But regardless of everybody's opinion or what people want, what does Nigeria need? What does our government need at this moment? Does our economy need this kind of setback? Does our security need this kind of setback? Does everything that Nigeria is trying to achieve need this kind of thing? Then that's when we can sit down and decide and say, truly, this is what our country needs. But as it is now, in my opinion, we don't need anything that will slow us down. And I feel an interim government will slow us down in a lot of ways. So yeah, this is my own perspective of what Nigeria need at this time. And it's definitely not an interim government.
Of course, because we only see interim government where there's a collapse or an emergency in the street. And I don't believe Nigeria is collapsed at it is. So whatever it is, we just, we'll keep our finger, even though the APC have also said they will rally around the DSS to give them all the support they need. For those who really want to sabotage that, handing over will actually be dealt with. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and bring you up to date with everything that is happening, what the DSS will do, and all of that. Still on the Voice of Liberty, we have "I'm tired of being Zamfara governor," says Matawali. You can read that inside the paper. We have "I was threatened, pressure rise to manipulate the result," coming from the Abia INEC returning officer. "I won't run from EFCC after handing over," says Wike. And then we have the last story on the paper. May 29 handover date sacrosanct. Transition Committee reaffirms. You can find all of that story inside the paper. And that's all on the Voice of Liberty.
On New Telegraph, COVID-19 loans. NISAL makes direct deduction from defaulters' account, and you can find the details on page 3. And we have a report, millionaire population in Nigeria, others to rise by 42%. Elections, reps summon CDS army chief over assault on lawmakers and killing of youths. And Sarah, concerning this, I believe that it's good that the reps are summoning the CDS and the army chief, because we had it on the paper throughout the week where there is a ransom of 50 million for the core members that were abducted, and then the INEC officials. Yeah. And I asked, were these people left alone? Because we need to know a report, because it's expected that there are sensitive areas that you can't leave these people on guard. We saw a lot of security personnel and agents in our urban area, but we didn't see whether they were at the rural area because we happened to be here. However, were these people left alone? Because if they were with an officer, then we need to know if the officer was abducted. And if the officer wasn't kidnapped with the rest of them, then he should be able to give us a report of what conspired and how these people got to be kidnapped, because it is expected that everybody, every official that is going about this election, because it is a sensitive process, are supposed to be duly protected. So we need to know this kind of thing. And the fact that they have been summoned, we need to hear more detail. Were they left alone? Were there an officer with them? If there was an officer, was he taken? If he wasn't taken, what is his own account of the situation? How did it happen that he couldn't protect these people to the extent that they were kidnapped and now there is a ransom of them? Sure. So we're just looking forward to what the army will have to say to the reps concerning the killings and the kidnapping during the election. Still on New Telegraph, no going back on obedient movement coming from OB. U.S. hikes student work and visa fees by 15%. Afenifere is law-abiding organization, says Fasoranti. And the big story on New Telegraph, May 29 handover, DSS alleges plot to scuttle democracy, foist interim government, says plan to sponsor violent protests, instigate state of emergency underway, frivolous court injunctions likely to be obtained. And you can find the details on page 3. Buhari swears in PSC chair, arrays 5 CCB members, and you can read more of the details on page 2 and 3. Airlines kicked as court transfer ruling on suit against Nigerian Air to Abuja. Court of Appearance takes act on the Deputy Speaker. You can find the details of this story on page 28. Senate moves to recover 6 trillion naira unpaid grant rent from property owners. Urges banks to resume operations in Akwa Ibom. Twist turns of Guba polls. How Matawale, Ugwanyi, Otom Epezu others lost to opposition. At the downside of the paper, we have a study that says pet exposures tied to fever, food, allergies, and the details can be found on page 26. We have a picture story where we can see the returnees from Libya, and that's all the news on New Telegraph.
You know, Richard, before we move to the next paper, you remember I made a comment yesterday on this money, resources that federal government is going to use to go evacuate Nigerians in Libya. Sure. And Richard, if you check just on the first paper I read and also the second paper, there is a hike on study and also tourist visit to 15%. Yeah. What is that telling us as a country? We need to do something to fix our own country, Rachel. We'll not be having, imagine there's a woman with a baby in her arm coming back from Libya. Only God knows how long she has been in that place. And for Nigerians to be eager to come back home, that is to tell you that something did not go right. That's just one out of many other countries where Nigerians are. There was a time last year or so where we saw the minister to students, I think some of the students in diaspora, where she said that Nigerians should not go to Cyprus, I think northern Cyprus, because of I think racism, prostitution, and all of those things. She gave some of the reasons why Nigeria should not be there. And you and I know that we have quite a number of Nigerians in Cyprus studying. Now, what I'm trying to highlight here, Richard, is the fact that this should be an eye-opener to us that we need to do something to fix our educational sector. We need to do something to fix on work environment. We have our doctors leaving. Last year, we saw the numbers keep going every day. The papers keep reminding us of our health workers leaving. And that was not just two doctors. We had nurses. We have lecturers leaving, you know, going outside because they believe that they'll be paid better. And so I believe, we keep saying this, that we have all that it takes to actually fix this country. But I think what we are lacking is the leadership and the will, because when we have the will, we'll definitely find a way to do it. And so I'm just hoping. We saw Nasarawa having oil, Bauchi, Gombe, there was oil there. And I remember I said it's a matter of time we will hear that in various states, Plateau State and other states, you hear that there's oil over there. Even Zamfara and Borno that is in the desert, there will be oil very soon, Rachel. What I'm trying to say is the fact that we have to come together as a country. The leadership we have, they need to know the fact that we need to fix this country. Our transport sector needs to be fixed. Aviation, we see that we're going to be having our own air very soon. So all of these things, we need to do something, because if it is, the hike is now 15%, before we get to December, it will increase, because inflation is not just in Nigeria, it's global. So I hope that we open our eyes and just know that things are happening. And this is not the first people that are being brought from Libya.
No,
We've had over, I think, about 3 or 4, Nigerians keep sending resources.
Yeah, it's been going on for like years now, ever since the war at Libya. So it's obvious that there was a pause in the rescuing, because I see it as a rescue mission. And then now it's continuing. So it became silent at a point in time, because obviously there's so much to be faced in this country as it is. And then now I believe that they are back, bringing back those who are still there. But just as you said, Sally, I can imagine the kind of situation they've been for years, waiting for this kind of deliverance to come to them, because it hasn't been a conducive environment for them. Even for the Libyans, it hasn't been conducive. Talk more of foreigners. We saw how when the war broke in Ukraine, Nigerians had to quickly come back. The government had to do something. And then imagine these people, the Libyan war started way before what was going on in Ukraine. And these people have been stranded there. And this is now when they get to come back. And you find out that it hasn't been easy for them. We wouldn't say and be like, okay, it's a good, they took themselves there, so they should know. Nobody, like, everybody has the right to go out there and find a greener pasture. However, when things happen like this, it's just quite unfortunate. And we're happy that we have a government that also makes things like this their business. But rather than making things like this your business, why don't you make a situation where things like this won't even be your business, because you won't even have your citizens leaving the country because they are okay here. We should now have a situation where we have others coming to Nigeria because we have a better GDP, because we have more employment chances, where we have a good pay, and people can actually live other underdeveloped African countries and come to Nigeria and say there are better jobs and opportunities in Nigeria. So we're just looking forward to that kind of working government, visionary leaders that will really take Nigeria to that level.
Of course, Rachel. Well, let's look at the next paper, which is the Daily Times newspaper. Maternal mortality: 82,000 Nigerian women die yearly from complication. Coming from UNICEF, the United Nations Children Fund, have said that over 82,000 Nigerian women die yearly every day from maternal mortality, which require urgent action from the federal government and all stakeholders to halt the menace in the country. You can continue to read that on the phone. Just mention that, Rachel, because looking at the number of women that die, you really know that it's alarming. So I hope we'll do something about that, because it really breaks to my heart. So I hope that the government will do something about that. The big story here says Senate to recover 6 trillion naira from property owners, with the rider target 2 million houses in 36 states, including the FCT. DSS flays alleged plan to install interim government identify plotters. You can find that on the front page and also page 2. Buhari swears in Arisan as the PSC chairman. and then 5 CCB board members. FEC approves 24.2 billion naira for free internet facility in airport. US increase, I take that story again. US increased visa application fee from March 30th, which is today. So for those who will be applying for visa, you should be aware that the fee has actually been increased, so you should get prepared for that. We have the picture story still showing some of the stranded Nigerians returning from Libya. They arrived at the cargo wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos yesterday. And that's all on the Daily Times newspaper.
On the Guardian newspaper, national carrier airline operators no faith April 25th. Amendment audit bill proposed 5-year jail, 5 million naira fine for errant accounting officers. Tinubu marks 71st birthday at Hajj, pledges to fulfill campaign promises. Outcome of BVN fraud probe will determine fate of protesting ex-agitators, Amnesty Office insists. And you can find the details on page 29. The big story on the Guardian newspaper: punish those behind 450 cases of poll violation. NHRC CSOs insist. The writer saying 450 human rights violation cases recorded during election. 2023 poll reveal Nigeria's declining democracy. A report coming from CHRICED. You should explain to Nigerians why beavers developed many faults, CSOs tells INEC. Those giving ethnic religious coloration to Obidia movement parochial, says OB. You can start with the story on the front page and continue inside the papers on page 6. 412 people killed in Nigeria's oil sector struggles with safety. DSS confirms interim government plot as transition council steps up activities, and you can find the details on page 6. We have some picture story where we can see violence prone 2023 general elections, where we can see some people being arrested, and that's all the news on the Guardian newspaper.
On Nigerian News Direct, PDP leaders squandered 12.5 billion naira in 2 months, Wike alleges. Makinde, Deputy Oyo Assembly members-elect received certificates of return. You can read that on page 3. 2023 NLNG Science Quiz Competition focuses on net zero. The big story making the round on most papers: DSS uncovers political actors plotting interim government. Says plot to stop May 29 inauguration real. Plotters plan to use protests and court instruments. One plotters will bear consequences of the law. You can read more of that on page 3. FRS is set to protect rights of passengers against negligence, recklessness by commercial drivers. I'm really happy. This coming from the Federal Road Safety. We've seen a lot of carelessness coming from drivers. So I'm happy that there's going to, they're going to set the right for passengers. So when I tell any commercial driver you're driving reckless, I have my right. Back was then where you get to fight. And I think this is coming up at a time where just recently we had the Lagos, train and busing. We know of people who lost their life, those who got injured and all of that. So I think even though it might look like it's late, but it's better late than never. So I'm really happy that the Federal Road Safety have taken this into cognizance, and we hope that it will be follow up. It's not just having a law, but then that it will be implemented. We've seen that we don't have a problem setting laws in this part of the country, but then each time we see laws, is the implementation that is always a problem. So we hope that it will be followed to the latter. Whatever punishment, penalty that will be set with those who violate that, let's see that all of that is being set. So I really applaud the Federal Road Safety for such a nice step they have taken.
Yeah, a lot of the recklessness you see that leads to accidents and death is always with speed, drunken driving, and just carelessness on the road. And I just hope that they will use the technologies that are available to make sure that we don't see this recklessness on the road. There should be, when it comes to speed, there should be speed breakers on our road when necessary. Secondly, there are technologies that read speed on the road, and it means that not only can we have that kind of technology on our road, but we also need to have officers on ground to make sure we stop anybody who violate the speed limit for a specific period of time. Because you will see people moving at a speed that is not expected because we have different types of roads, and people need to also know that you're not supposed to speed more than this on this specific type of road. It's not an express road. This should be your speed limit. If it is a private drive-through, this should be your limit. Whatever kind of road you're moving, and then there should be the right technologies in those places. These are things we can do as a country. And then when it comes to our highway and transport services, there should also be speed and technologies placed into cars that when you stop a driver, you're not only inspecting whether the person has a fire extinguisher, whether the person has a spare tire, or the person's tire is still good or not, but we should also be checking. It should be a law that you have a speed limit tracker in your car that makes sure you don't exceed certain speed limit, because even on the highway there is a speed limit, but a lot of drivers on these commercial cars on the road don't follow these speed rules, and these are the things that has been killing people on the road. So I hope that when they say this, let them employ technology to help them do this job, because they can't be there dictating. But when you have the right things that make you follow these rules, in like there should be laws and regulations and penalties to drivers who people always entrust their life, then I believe that truly this recklessness can be stopped, and the federal road safety can really do something about it. So I just hope that we don't just talk, but we truly do the work that is needed to make sure that this kind of reckless driving, speed and deaths on the road due to accidents are less or completely gone.
Of course, Rachel, because most of the death record on the road are mostly as a result of negligence and also recklessness. True. Let's look at other stories here on Nigerian News Direct. Sustained growth. Transcorp PLC delivers strong performance as revenue rises by 21%. You can find that story on page 3. And on digital economy, federal government approves 24.2 billion naira for free internet in airport, tertiary institution and markets. Tinubu at 71, Sanwo-Olu, Abiodun, political religious leaders facilitate, hold special prayers to actually celebrate the president-elect at 71. We have 2 picture stories. You can grab the Nigerian News Direct and read any story that is of interest to you. But before we move further with the newspaper review, let's take this time out so we can open the phone line, let you digest the stories. What do you feel about the DSS actually, warning to plotters of, trying to sabotage the May 29? We've had the Federal Road Safety setting up, rights for passengers. These and many other stories are what we've been seeing on the paper. So we'd love to hear from you when we come back from the break. Please do not go, and we'll be right back. Still the dailies on Echo Television International, where we have been looking at various stories that have been making the the lines from our newspaper, the reports coming from the DSS on those who are trying to plot and also sabotage the May 29 handing over. We've seen federal government bringing back those Nigerians that have been stranded in Libya, and also the federal road safety that have set up a route to actually protect passengers from recklessness and coming from drivers. These and many other stories is what we've been looking at. Please do well to drop your comment on our Facebook and YouTube channel or our page, and we'll read it live here on the the show. And also you can call us in. Our numbers are displayed on your screen. Please Do remember to turn down the volume of your TV set when you call us or you move away from your TV so we can hear you clearly in the studio, as other viewers will also love to hear from you. I still have Rachel with me in the studio. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome, Sarah.
All right, let's continue with the newspaper review.
On Leadership newspaper, federal government okays 24.2 billion naira free internet for 20 airports, universities, and markets. PDP will be stronger without IU, a statement coming from Wike. CBN goes tough as more banks rush for holding companies. Afenifere in disarray as Fasoranti counter suspension of 2 officials. And the big story on leadership, interim government plot. Security expert politicians warn against repeat of June 12 crisis. Ask DSS to arrest those behind plan. Nigerians must resist plot, says Buhari. Says Buharman Bukati. They are enemies of Nigeria, says Senator Adeyeye. We will not accept any undemocratic government coming from PDP and CSOs. Adie is senseless. This is coming from Shehu Sani. And you can find the details of the story on page 4. Senate moves to recover 16 trillion naira unpaid ground rent. Police Commission promotes 23 others as AIGs and 33 CPs. Audit defaulters to get 5-year jail term as National Assembly passes bill. And you can find the details on page 23. We have a picture stories, governors-elect receiving their certificates of return. And that's all the news on leadership.
On Blueprint newspaper on internet, federal government okays 24.2 billion naira for 20 airport, 43 schools and 6 markets, with the rider 41.4 billion naira for oil producing communities. Ogwini hospitals get 18.3 billion naira. You can start on the front page and continue to read more inside the paper. Big story DSS on May 29, Tinubu's inauguration. Key political actors plotting interim government, with the rider warn any attempt to thwart democracy will crush. Caution judiciary, media, CSO unyielding to plot. The chance to build Nigeria, my greatest birthday gift, coming from the president-elect Tinubu. Buhari APC governors on beat, confident of Tinubu's capacity. Lagos government compensate boss and trade. I take the story. Lagos government compensate boss, train accident victims with jobs and scholarships. Boko Haram bomb maker dies stepping on self-made IED. And we have Buhari swears in ex-IGP Arisan as the PSC chairman. Native demand 15 trillion naira damages, seek court order for FCT state status. Bayelsa Guba stick to Electoral Act, group tells the APC National Working Committee. Police rescue 10 kidnapped civilians and 3 cops in Kogi. We hope they'll be able to rescue the NYC and also the INEC, ACOC staff that were being kidnapped too. Petrol to sell at 400 naira per litre after subsidy removal, coming from Pengassan. You can read that on page 16 of the Blueprint, and that's all on the Blueprint newspaper.
On Vanguard newspaper, hope rises for 2023 budget as money light price rebounds. You can find the details on page 19. Opponents kick as governors-elect get certificates of return. APC governors express confidence in Tinubu's ability to turn Nigeria around. Buhari swears in ex-IGP Aris as chairman. Police Service Commission. U.S. hikes student tourist visa fees by 15%. And the big story on Vanguard, DSS confirms plot to install interim government. I think we have a caller.
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay,
we lost that call. We hope you call us back again.
Yeah. Still on Vanguard newspaper, the writer following the big story warns any attempt to by schemes to thwart democracy will be crushed. Asks judiciary, media, CSOs to be wary of schemes. Nigerians won't be intimidated into submission coming from Labour Party. DSS should go beyond announcement coming from IPAC. No comment, says President-elect office. BVN fraud, PAP probes 513 ex-agitators linked to 1,370 accounts, ascribing ethno-religious motives to Obedient movement fail. This is coming from OB. Bandits execute 5 of 60 abducted villagers in Niger. You can find the details on page 6. We have a column for Olufasan. You can find that on page 16. And a sport column that says under 23 Eagles defeat Nigeria at Crossroad, coming from NFF Scribe. We have picture stories still showing governors-elect collecting their certificate of return. And that's all the news on Vanguard.
On Daily Sun newspaper, IPOP are saying no plans to print Biafra currency with the rider. Denies formation of kangaroo movement. You can find that story on page 29. DSS confirmed plot for interim government. Fingers political actors and others. I will build country of your dream, Tinubu assures Nigerians. You can read that on page 6. US raises student and work visa fee by 15%. And on Global poll, INEC presents certificate to Kano, Oyo, Benue, Iboyi, Nasarawa, Rivers, and other governors-elect. With the rider Bauchi, Akwa Ibom Election Tribunal received 31 petitions. You can find that on page 26 and 29. Bandit execute 5 victims for failure to meet ransom deadline in Niger, threatened to kill more free 3 women. We just hope that the government of Niger State will be able to do something, and every other victim that have been kidnapped in any part of the country, we can see they're killing them, and this is not the first time. We hope the government will do something. FEC approves 95 billion naira for roads in Ekiti and Ondo State. OK's 24 billion naira contract for broadband project at airport, varsity, and markets. Court fixed April 25th for judgment ensued by airline operators against Ethiopian Airlines, CG, and others. MPC rules out religious consideration during the census. Downside of the paper, Senate set up committee to recover 6 trillion naira unpaid ground rents. The picture story here, we can see Governor Abiodun of Ekiti State with the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, Commissioner for Finance and Economic Development, Akitunde Oyebode, and Chief Economic Advisor to the Governor, Adebutu, during visit to the Minister in Abuja yesterday. That's all on the Daily Sun newspaper.
On Nigerian Tribune, Lagos drivers protest hike in Abiru fees, commuters stranded. U.S. recovers $53 million from illegal contracts involving Dezeni, Aluko, and Omokuri. And you can find the details on page 19 of Nigerian Tribune. Interim government plot real, DSS reveals, says key players behind plot identified. Senate seek to recover 6 trillion naira unpaid ground rent from property owners. Still on BVN fraud, 513 named linked to 1,370 account investigation begins. Kaduna tops as 17 outgoing governors grow state IGR in 7 years, and this is a report from NBS. Gunshot injury cut orders Omotekun on the government to pay motorcyclists 30 million naira. I won't fail Nigerians, my manifesto, not mere words, says Tinubu at 71. Kano APC governorship candidate accepts defeat, congratulates governor-elect. The details can be found on page 19, and that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
On the Nation newspaper, FEC OK's 24.2 billion naira for free internet in airport and others. Incoming governors unfold agenda for states. You can read that on page 2. And we are having banks worried over low cash deposit by customers. And you know, Rachel, I'm not surprised. Of course, you know, customers are looking at the fact that what if I deposit my money and then I'm unable to get it? So of course, banks will be worried. I think was it just 2 days back, I was listening to someone and he was asking a lady, "Are you coming to the bank to deposit?" I said, "In a time where you hardly see the cash, we are here to withdraw and not to deposit." That's on a lighter note. But of course, with what Nigerians went through with the cash scarcity and all of that, definitely I am not surprised to see that customers are refusing to actually deposit. So now what the CBN were avoiding, where money was rotating outside the bank, is still going to happen, Rachel, because customers will be afraid to put the money back into the bank, looking at what they went through. So right now the cash is circulating just outside within, all about buyers and sellers. That is how the money is going. But I hope that we'll grow to a place where we won't be afraid, because if we're looking at going into a cashless society where it's all about working, we saw even when the network providers were not doing their best because there was traffic, serious traffic, that till date we're still having a little, but at least it's better than the way it was. So we hope that we'll have confidence again in our banking sector, not the way it is going presently, where of course customers are definitely scared to actually deposit.
Yeah, I think it will take a while for customers to start depositing until we get to the point where I am sure that there is money available. As it is, Nigerians are still skeptical. We're still worried. We don't know what we will wake up and hear the government say tomorrow, because that has been the trend. It's like you just wake up and there's this change that changed your whole life, that affects everything around you and just makes life so difficult. So it's going to take a while before Nigerians will be like, okay, I have too much money on me, let me go and deposit, because I'm sure that, things are back to normal now. There's cash in circulation, and wherever I need it, we have ATMs that I will work, and probably POS agents will now be back to 100 naira service fee, rather than the outrageous thing that has been going on. At the same time, also, like, Nigerians will just have to be patient and just wait for things. And also, I feel what the CBN needs to stick with, which is a good policy, is the withdrawal limit. As it turns out to be, that was the first that was put in place to make cash to keep circulating in the bank. So it's not still out of place if the CBN continues with their withdrawal limit policy, that if you can have more than this in a week or in a month, for individuals, for businesses, and all of that. With that, I believe that yes, more money will be out there, but at the same time, the CBN will still be in control and have a large amount of money still circulating within the banks, rather than in cash as they have wanted it to be.
Of course, and I think the banks also have to work on their unnecessary, will I say, debiting.
Yes.
Today you are paying for card maintenance, tomorrow you are paying for
SMS
so many.
and all of that.
Of course, it's becoming really, I'm tired of it. I just hope they do something about that. The big story on the Nation newspaper still, DSS warn interim government plotters of their consequences. Secret police would curtail the democracy, and then experts are saying interim government plot treasonable. So you have to read more of that story on the front page and page 4. And Tinubu is saying, my mandate, best birthday gift from Nigerians. And then we're seeing some few picture stories on the front page of the paper. And then downside of the paper, MPC, Nigerians won't answer religious related questions during the census. So if you're worried about that, we have seen that they have clarified that there will be no question of such. But you read more of that story on page 3 of the Nation newspaper, and that's all. We have a call, I think. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Elizabeth calling from Benue State, Makodi.
Okay,
Hello?
Elizabeth, good morning from Benue. We can hear you.
Yes, good morning. Please, I want to say something about the election. I don't know, maybe as I'm talking now, the INEC officials may be listening to me. But I want to ask, when are they going to pay us our money now, since the election is over? Because we have helped them to conduct the election and expecting that our money should be paid, and the money is being delayed for a while now. At least let them release our money for us. The federal government released money for this election to be conducted. So why are they holding the money down? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Elizabeth. I believe she's asking in case we have INEC officials, and I believe this is for ad hoc workers, and the election is done and over. However, the payment from the federal government is being delayed. So she's hoping that there will be INEC officials listening to us today, which I hope and I believe
they are listening.
that they are listening. And now Elizabeth is saying the election is done, they have worked for it. Why are the payments being delayed? So I just hope that your message gets out there, and then the federal government or the people in charge of releasing your payment do the needful.
Right, let's move to the next paper, Rachel.
On Daily Asset newspaper, Owando's 2021 revenue passes 722 billion naira. The big story, which is on most of our papers, DSS confirms entrenched interest plot to install interim government. And the right is saying IPOB denies plan to print Biafra currency from government. Federal government approves 24.2 billion naira for free internet in 20 airports, facilities, and markets.
Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
We are with you, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from? Okay, I think we lost that call. We hope you call us back.
Yes. Still on Daily Assets, we have Niger Commission dismisses one judge, demotes 2 others. You can find the details on page 4. Foreign investment into stock market dropped to 13.52 billion naira coming from the NGX, and we have Kogi police rescue 12 kidnapped victims. Will remain loyal, patriotic, take Benue to higher heights. This is coming from the new governor-elect of Benue State. And you can find the details on page 23. We have a caller.
All right, I think that's our last call for today. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello. Okay, we lost that call. Well, I think that's the last call we could take for today. Well, let me take the last paper for today, which is the Punch newspaper. Presidency rare privilege I won't squander, coming from Tinubu. Federal government plans sanction as 633 die in oil operation. You can find that also inside the paper. How I will tackle police corruption, coming from the PSC chairman. You can find that on page 8. The big story on the Punch says arrest interim government plotters. APC PDP tells DSS. Saboteurs planning, cut others. Protest to stop Tinubu's inauguration, coming from agency. Interim government alien to constitution. Campaigners pursue Democrats, says APC and PDP. 26 children, 125 adults, Libyan returnees land in Lagos. You can see picture stories showing them coming down. Downside we have where on coming from the Whitney, the issue of Whitney from Chrisland school workers trial begins today. So you have to keep your fingers crossed and read more of that. And we are having other few stories that are flying on the front page of the paper. So you can do well, grab the Punch and read any story that is of interest to you. And that's how far we can go on the program this morning. Thank you so much for keeping a date with us. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you to our callers. Thank you to the crew members and everybody that was a part of today's program. Until we come your way again, please do remain to be peaceful. Have a blessed day ahead.